Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a really cool product here. This is the Orqa FPV.One Pilot Digital. Oh wait, no. They're not digital. They're analog. Analog goggles in 2022. Alright folks, so let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about the Orqa FPV.One Pilot goggles, and we're going to kind of compare them to the Orqa FPV.One goggles. Orqa, your naming convention sucks. So from this point forward, I'm going to refer to these as the V2 and these as the V1. V2, V1. Really easy to tell in my case. The V1s I have are custom Cerakoted, and these are, well, they're new, the way you get them out of the box. Right now, the V2s are going for a roughly $570, and that does not include a VRX, a receiver module. You're gonna have to pick one of those up yourself. Rapid fires are going for about $140, and the TBS Fusion video receiver is going for about $120. And folks, if you're gonna have to pick between the two, my recommendation is to go with the TBS Fusion. I'm not a TBS fanboy. It is just a better module in my opinion and in my experience. I've used multiple of the rapid fires. I have one of the Fusion. The Fusion tends to work way better. Plus, if you're looking to use some of the Express LRS VRX backpack features, I'm not gonna get into it in this video, but you can do that with no extra hardware. It has all the stuff already built into it. It's a more advanced module. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So what's in the box? In the box, you're gonna get the case, really nice little case. You're gonna get two face surrounds. That's the part that goes on your face balls. One is made of neoprene and the other one is a leatherette material. I prefer the leatherette face pad, but others might prefer the neoprene. It's all personal preference. The hook part of the Velcro for the face surrounds does not come installed on the goggles. You're gonna have to install that yourself. So if you're one of those people that screw up installing your cell phone screens, you may want to seek some help on that one. The hook part of the adhesive does have relief cuts in it, so you can get to the screws to disassemble the goggles without destroying it like the V1 goggles. If you want to see what the insides of the V1 goggles look like, check out the video where I tear apart the "you can't tear them apart without a special tooling" video that I made. Links in the description. Like I said, you don't get an RF module. The TBS Fusion cover from the V1 does fit the V2 goggles. The shape of the module bay hasn't changed. And you get a cleaning cloth and a goggle strap in the box too, but that's about it. The case, it's a nice case. It's pretty form-fitting, but you won't be able to put your goggles in the case without taking the antennas off. It's a pretty tight fit. You're even gonna have a hard time fitting a LiPo in the case with your goggles, so just keep that in mind. I never use the case for the V1s. I just slap them in my bag as is with the antennas installed, and I've had no problems. Let's talk about the goggle strap. The goggle strap's okay, but certainly could be better. The width is perfect, but it is way too long. I have a medium-sized head, and I'm just about at the minimum adjustment on the strap. I really like the included loop for holding a 2S LiPo or 18650 pack, but the distance from the holder to the power jack is kind of far, so your results might vary depending on LiPo manufacturer. I printed my own 18650 case, and I'll put a link to the STLs in the video description. The goggle strap connects with Velcro, which isn't mounted internal to the goggle, unlike the V1s, so this should make changing out the strap very easy. If you want a strap that doesn't have a loop, you could probably just cut the housing at a 45, but do so at your own risk. So ideally, you'd be looking for a strap like what fits the DJI goggles. On the left side, we have another cover. This is where the FPV Connect module will go. And the FPV Connect module runs about $70 and again, does not come with the goggles. With the Connect module, you get some extra features like live streaming to your phone, access to your DVR from your phone, integration with Immersion RC Ghost for VRX channel switching, GoPro control. It will also allow you to do over-the-air firmware updates, which you can push to your goggles from your phone. It should be mentioned that not all phones will work with this feature properly. It's been a known issue for Orqa, but the issue lies mostly with your phone and not with the app or the Connect module. Some phones just can't connect to Wi-Fi network that doesn't have outside data and the cellular connection with data at the same time. My Galaxy Note 8 and my Note 20 Ultra both won't work unless I run a VPN app called Speedify. Then I can get this to work, but if your phone has this issue, then also live streaming to the web won't work either, for the same reason. I was really hoping I could find a fix for this, but to date, I still have not. If you out there are listening to this and you have it working for your Note 8 or your Note 20, please let me know how you did that. I would really like to know the steps that you took to make it work. The V1 goggle used a really strange non-standard pinout for the combination headphone and microphone jack that required you to purchase or make an adapter to hook up your headphones for those who like to listen to their quad audio. Well, thanks.
FPV-One pilot, the V2 goggles, whatever you want to call these things, is they actually decided to use a standard pinout for the audio connection jacks for if you're running a headphone or, in my case, a microphone. Being a content creator, I love to be able to hear ambient audio, especially if I'm like reviewing a quad or a product or something that I'm flying. I can give you the off-the-cuff, like immediate feelings on it without having to haul a separate recorder around or do any of that hocus pocus. So this is a huge improvement. Back in the day, I did a video where I stuck a automatic gain microphone directly onto my VRX, my Fusion module or Rapid Fire, whatever one it was I was using, and that took off. Like, a lot of people did that, and I think I was the first one to do it, to be quite honest, or the first one to at least publish anything on it. This is just going to be even cleaner quality audio because I used to get a little bit of fan noise in the background. Hopefully this isn't too blown out, but you just use a regular TRRS cable, so that's tip, ring, shoulder, what you would find on most like combination jacks, like something that has headphone and microphone audio built into it, and you should be good to go. No more trying to make your own microphone cables or anything like that.
Hey, folks, don't sleep on ambient audio. It is awesome for capturing a moment or even for tuning. Just go fly, be a crazy person, talk to yourself, and when you go back to watch the DVR, you can relive the moment. You can talk about how it was flying, the tuning issues that you were feeling while you were flying that you may not see exactly when you're in your DVR, or you could just give the video an audio title when you start recording. This approach did kind of lead to a lot of unwanted noise from the fans or the goggle themselves, or electrical noise if you were running a set of Fat Sharks. They tended to have a very dirty power to the DVR. If you want to see how I added a microphone to the VRX, you can find that video in this video's description as well. There's a head tracker built in, an AV input, and a micro HDMI, which will come in handy with running the SharkBite system. There's also a new high-speed data port, which its functionality is really not known yet, but it's rumored to be part of Orqa's high-def platform, and it sounds like they're trying to work together with HD0, the makers of the SharkBite system, to use this port as well, but we shall see what happens in the future. The buttons. There's just no nice way to put this, but the buttons suck. They're almost completely flush with the rest of the goggle, making them really nice, and they feel smooth, but that smooth feeling is where I have an issue. I work with my hands all day and have some pretty tough fingertips and can hardly feel any of the buttons. The 5-direction joysticks are easy to find, but the power, fan, and the other 4 buttons are like playing a game of tag in the dark. I made some laser cut parts to stick to the buttons. This will give you a very tactile feel of where the buttons are when you're trying to feel up your goggles while blindfolded. In all reality, you basically will only be pressing 2 buttons during use. If you use your defogging fan like me, my guess is you're probably going to want it on all the time like I do. These goggles have a setting for that. Your DVR will auto-record when it receives a video signal. Awesome, we're all in there. So the only buttons you really need to feel out are the power button and the button that gets you back out of the OSD menu. Other than that, the other buttons really don't serve much of a functional purpose. Bottom of the goggles, we have IPD and diopter adjustments, like we saw with the Fat Shark HDO2s. The range of the IPD adjustment is 56 to 74 millimeters, and the focus range is -4 to +4. If you fall outside of this range, you're still in luck because these goggles still give you the option to install a set of diopters or prescription lenses. Unlike the HDO2s where you had the focus and IPD and you're kind of hooped if you're outside their adjustment range. You at least have more than one option here. Now, let's talk about the inside of the goggles and what I really can't show you. I'll try my best, but seeing it in person is completely different than what you're going to see on screen here. Before we do that, I want to talk about today's sponsor, you. You are what keeps the channel going by going to tweetfpv.com and picking up a set of your own radio grips, or how about a set of button markers for your Orqa goggles? Or how about clicking one of those affiliate links? If you click on one of those links and make any purchase, I get a small commission. It's not much, but it does make a difference. Or the best way you can support me is become a patron member. Patrons help out the channel the most. It gives you access to my Patreon-only section at Discord and other Patreon-only content. So show your support by clicking the link in the video description today. The OSD in this goggle is next to none other than the V1. It's very similar to the V1 goggles, which didn't always start out that way. The V1 goggles started off with a very bare bones OSD, and the fact that these goggles get constant firmware updates, we have what we have today. The V2 OSD is fantastic. The only one who even comes close are possibly the Sky Zones, and it's still not this good. There's a really nice feature called Deep Focus where they show you a still high-def image to help assist with your IPD and focus adjustment, so you can get a really clear image instead of focusing on a blurry camera through your FPV feed. The adjustments are very stiff, and they should resist accidental adjustment while handling the goggles. Now, we're on to the big one, the field of view. The field of view is the most contentious part of these goggles. It's what every YouTube personality has been talking about, and I don't buy it so much. The field of view on the V2 is 37 degrees. For comparison, the V1s were 44, but you can set that to race mode digitally, which would shrink it down to 30 degrees. I usually flew in that 30-degree setting, by the way. I don't particularly like a large field of view. I don't want to look around at my goggles to see everything. I kind of want everything just right in front of my eyeballs. In my DJI goggles, I have the screen shrunk down to like 50%, just so I don't have to get lost in the goggles. I don't fly to be immersed in the goggles. I want to take in as much with the least amount of effort possible. But having the field of view set to a maximum of 37 degrees kind of sucks, but there is a trade-off here. The optics are so clear and so sharp. Yes, the V1s were OLED, so are these ones, but the colors and the detail are much sharper than the V1s. I'm assuming this is due to the new optics. I don't think the OLEDs on my V1 have degraded, but the difference is very noticeable, like very noticeable. If you've never looked into a set of optics like what are in the V1 or the HDO2s, you'll notice that the screens are round, and the older certainly look like you were looking down a tube. There was a lot of light bouncing around inside of the optics. The V2 are dark, and you don't get much of that edge glow, making the blackness much blacker than the older optics. Orqa said that there's no more pin cushioning, but that's not 100% true. There's still some there, but it's very minimal. You really wouldn't notice it unless you were looking for it. When you put them on going back and forth between the V1, the larger field of view, you do really notice it, but as soon as you start to fly, the size just kind of fades away, and you're just left with what's going on in the moment. To be clear, the field of view is just a perceived degree of view. It's like sitting closer to your monitor versus farther away, and this shouldn't be confused with your camera's field of view. You're still getting the same amount of info with the 37-degree field of view compared to the 44-degree field of view. The field of view of your camera and lens are what give you more or less view of what's going on in the world while you're flying. The defogging fan on the V1 just plain sucked. It was anemic, noisy, with a very short life. These goggles have a very, very good face defogging fan, and I've heard claims that there are 2 fans, one for each eye. The fans work very well and aren't like the DJI fans where they're always on and blowing directly into your eyeballs, making your eyes redder than the devil's. I can't wait to see what's inside these goggles. If you want to see what's inside these bad boys, let me know in the comments below. I know there will be more features to be seen with these goggles. With the digital landscape being painted before us, I'm excited to see what Orqa will come up with. Who are these for? If you have a set of OLED goggles right now that fit and work, I'd probably pass on these. But if you're still rocking LCD goggles or want to step up from a set of box goggles, then get with the times and upgrade to some OLED bad boys like the Orqa FPV.One pilots, or check out the used market, because I'd guess people will be dumping last year's tech like old garbage to fund some new toys. But there is competition on the horizon. HD0, makers of the SharkBite digital FPV system, has announced that they are also working on a new set of goggles that have quite the impressive proclaimed spec sheet. Supposedly they will be in the hands of testers by the May timeframe, but the actual specs, who the manufacturer will be, and most importantly, the price, that's all still to be determined. Orqa, congratulations on making a really good set of goggles at a very pre-2020 price. Let's face it, price is actually pretty good for what you're getting, especially since everything has gone up. These are certainly going to be my daily drivers for the time being. If you're interested in any of the products I have shown or talked about in this video, links will be in the video description. They are affiliate links, so every little bit will help me out. What are your thoughts on the FPV.One pilot goggles, or the V2s as we'll call them from this point forward? Is it stupid paying this kind of money for analog goggles in 2022? What are your thoughts on adding an HD receiver to a set of goggles versus them being built in? What else would you like to see in these goggles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, folks, and as always, please stay positive.